Hey guys, welcome to today's class. Have fun.
Hello guys, welcome to today's lesson. Our topic for today is going to be on factors of production. We'll be defining production. We'll be looking into the divisions of production, types of production, importance of production, and finally the factors of production. So now what is the definition of production? Production can be defined as the conversion of raw materials into finished goods and their distribution to the final consumers. So the idea around production is to convert raw materials or something in its natural form and process it into like a finished product, and then you distribute it to the final consumer. So the idea behind production is to create utility, and utility is the maximum satisfaction that a consumer would get from a particular product. So the idea of producing something, or the idea of production, is to convert a particular raw material, convert it by processing it into like a finished product and then selling it to the people. There are two main types of goods. We have the consumer goods and the capital goods. Consumer goods are the ones that are designed for personal consumption, while the capital goods are the goods that are being used to produce something else. Yeah? So now we'll move on to division of production. We have three main parts. We have the industry, commerce, and services. The industry involves the productive activities of converting raw materials into final products. So the whole process of getting something in their natural form, getting apple from the farm, processing it in the plant or like in a factory, and producing an apple juice is what happens in an industry. So the whole process, the exact process of production, of converting a raw material from its natural state to like a processed finished good is what happens in the industry. Examples of such industry, we have the mining, fishing, construction, manufacturing, and so many other ones. So now we'll move on to commerce. Commerce handles the distribution of goods and services from the factory to the final consumers. So once production is done in the industry, there is need to find a way to get these goods to the people. And that is what commerce handles. So commerce handles distribution of goods and services from the factory to probably the wholesaler or to the retailer or directly to the final consumers. So that is what commerce handles. The third one is services. So goods involves something tangible, something you can hold. That is what a good or like a product is. However, services are things you can't see. They're like when you render like a help. I won't really say a help, but it's like when you're doing something for someone, but you're getting paid for doing that thing for someone. So as a lawyer, if you have to represent someone in court, you get paid for representing them in court. So for services, it's not like you don't get a good that you can hold in your hands. It's just that you have to, you're rendering a service that is being paid for. So that is what this one is about. Now I'll move on to the types of production. We have direct and we have indirect. Direct production is when the whole production process is meant for personal consumption. So let's say in my house, we have like a big compound and we feel that, how about we grow yam, we grow pepper, we grow vegetables that we'll be using in the house. So we can decide to grow that in our backyard or something. And then that would be for our personal consumption. So whenever we feel like those things is meant to be harvested, then we harvest them and then cook it in our house for our own consumption. So that is what direct production is. So the whole production process is meant for personal use or like personal consumption. While the indirect production is basically when the goods is produced on a large scale, and this is meant for money, so it's not for personal consumption. So it's when the whole production process is done on a large scale, and then there is need for the product to be exchanged for money. So once you produce everything you need to produce, then you find a way to reach it out to or get it through to the consumers or whoever is going to use the product, and you get paid. So you're getting money for the production. So now we'll quickly move on to the importance of production. The first one is it helps to generate income. So because there are like four main factors of production, and there's like reward for using each of those factors of production. So all of this reward you get helps you generate different income. And aside the reward you get from the factors of production, when you sell naturally, you gain money. You get money. So that helps you to get income. That helps you to get money in. The next one is creation of utility. Remember I said utility is the maximum satisfaction that a consumer generates or gets from using a product. So by producing goods and services, you end up creating utility. The third point is provision of goods and services. So by producing, you create more goods and then you create more channel for services. Then it helps to improve standard of living, because once there are like so many products and so many services that you can render to the people, it helps to improve their standard of living, because they have all the product they need to help them live, and then they have like the right services for whatever they need for. Then we'll move on to the importance of production. We have employment opportunities. So production helps to employ people. So people that work in the factory have to be employed, or like if you have to get services for something, they need the help of some people to work on those things. So that is the employment opportunities. Then there's also production also helps to propel economic development in the country, because once they're producing, they're able to produce things, then money will come in and then the economy would eventually grow. And then we also have like increase in exports. So once there are more products that are being produced, then it creates an avenue for most of all these goods that are being produced to be exported. Then the last point is the availability of raw materials. So production process will eventually create the avenue for sourcing for many raw materials, and so that would help to have a lot of raw material in the economy. There are three main stages of production. We have the primary production, secondary production, and tertiary production. The primary production is the process where you have to source or look for the raw material from either the sea or the soil. So the primary production process is when you have to look for whatever raw materials you need for production. Secondary production is the conversion stage. It's when you process the raw material into a finished product. And the tertiary production involves the commerce and professional services that I believe I've spoken about before. So that's the three main stages. The primary, which is the extraction of raw materials. The secondary, which involves the conversion of the raw materials into finished or semi-finished goods. And the tertiary, which involves the commerce and other professional services. So now we talk about factors of production, move into factors of production. So factors of production are the resources required for productive activities. They're usually combined to enhance production or to make production possible. The first one we'll be looking at is land. Land is defined or often defined as free gift of nature, because we believe land was given to us by God and it's not man-made. So and land usually is combined with other factors of production to make production possible. So land consists of the sea, ocean, forest, mineral resources, and the reward for using land is rent. So if I have a land and I give it out to people, I'll get a rent as return. So that's the reward for land. So now we look into the features of land. The first one is it's a free gift of nature. It's provided by God to man. Second one is supply of land is fixed. So the supply of land to an economy does not depend on the price. It's the amount of land that is supposed to be there that will be there. It's not like the land will increase because there's more price or something is going to alter. It is what has been there or is what has been kept there that would remain there. Yeah. The next one is land is geographically immobile. Land cannot be moved. Reward for putting land to productive use is rent. So if you use land for any productive services, you get rent as return. Land is not produced by anyone and has no cost of production. The quality of land varies from place to place. So we have some places where the land could be fertile. We have some other places where the land could be infertile. So it's not the quality of land is not something that is fixed. It varies from place to place. So now we'll quickly look into the importance of land. So land is a site for economic activities. So most economic activities like factory production, service, rendering services all happen on land, in terms of you need an office, you need a plant, you need a factory for all these things to happen. And all these factories are being built on land. The next one is it provides the natural resources for production. So most of the raw materials that you need to get or source for would usually be gotten from land or like from the sea, in terms of fish or other things that are gotten from the sea. The third one is agricultural activities take place on land. So you grow those things on land. The land surface is also useful for construction. You build the offices, you build your plant and every other thing, factory on land. Land is useful for transportation. So we use land for the cars, the bicycle, motorcycle, tricycles, ships and every other thing that move on land. They are all on land and they work properly. They help to move people from place to place on land. The next one is aquatic activities are carried out on land because of the sea. You could fish, you could do boat cruise, kayaking, and so many other things are things that you do on land. The land can be used as collateral for bank loans. So that's the last importance of land. So now we'll move into labor. What is labor? Labor refers to the human effort, which could either be physical or mental, that supports the activities of other factors of production. So labor is like human input. We've discussed that land is not man-made. It's given to us, it's a free gift of nature given to us by God. That is what land is. Now, labor is the human aspect. So the workers are like the labor aspect of the factors of production. It could be physical and it could be mental. Yeah. So they are the services, or like they are the efforts that are being put into production to make the conversion of raw materials or sourcing for the raw materials possible. Yeah. And they're like land labor is also divided into three. We have skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. The skilled labor usually requires academic intelligence and knowledge. So for you to work as a lawyer, accountant, or a lawyer, you need to be well equipped, you need to be educated, and you need to be smart. You need to be academically good and sound for you to do this kind of jobs. So they're like the white collar jobs. So that is skilled labor. The next one, called the semi-skilled labor, requires a form of training, but not as specialized as the skilled labor. So like a typist, or like even a receptionist usually most times doesn't really, if it's just someone that is meant to welcome people, usually doesn't really need as much academic prowess as much as skilled labor does. Then we have unskilled labor. This particular people don't really need to use they don't really need to be academically sound to work. The work in unskilled labor aspect depends solely on physical strength. So people like cleaners, people like laborers and other stuff, they use their physical strength, like the gatesmen and the other ones. They use their physical strength to work. The reward for labor is wages and salaries. So now we quickly move into the characteristics of labor. Labor is mobile. Labor can be moved, can change from one location to the other. Labor involves human input in production. So you need humans to work for labor. It changes. It varies. Unlike land, which is fixed, labor changes and its quantity and quality can decrease. So based on the price, labor can also be changed. Yeah. And it can become skillful through training. So through training, people can get more educated, and the kind of job or like the kind of services that you can do can change based on how trained and how educated you are. Labor controls and combines other factors of production. So labor usually most times is the one that controls, because it's the human aspect. So labor controls most times other factors of production. And the reward for labor is wages and salaries. So now we'll quickly move on to the importance of labor. The first one is labor supports production. So it provides mental and physical effort that is required for productive activities. I also said that labor controls and combines other factors of production. So labor constitutes the working population of the country. Labor helps to operate machines and plants. So the people that would operate the machine in the factory are mostly the laborers, or like the workers who constitute labor. And lastly, labor plans and direct economic activity. So labor as a factor of production plans, direct and control all economic activities of man. So without labor, most of the other factors of production will remain in their natural state. And that's all on the importance of labor. Now we move on to capital. Capital refers to man-made wealth and resources used in production of goods and services. So capital refers to like cash or any other thing that is used for production of goods and services, any other thing that can help boost or support production of goods and services. Just like you need money to buy the raw materials, you need the cars for deliveries, then you need the factory for production here. So those are all the things that can be classified as capital. And the reward for using capital is interest. So now we move on to types of capital. We have fixed capital. These are the long-lasting tangible assets like land, building, plants. Those are the things that don't move. Those are the ones that are classified as fixed capital. Then we have the working capital, usually cash or like money. Money is what is being referred to as working capital, because it is the capital that is needed for the day-to-day running of the business. So like raw materials and cash at hand are the things that are usually used to run the business of the day. We also have the loan capital. The loan capital is the amount of or total amount of money that is being borrowed from an external source to also aid or to also help to boost to run a company. That is what loan capital is. Lastly, we have social capital. This refers to infrastructure that are being produced, or amenities that are being produced by the government to support production of goods and services. And that's all on the types of capital. Now we move on to the basic features of capital. Capital is an artificial factor, is man-made. The reward for capital is interest. Capital is not fixed. It changes from raw material to finished goods. It is subject to depreciation. So in cases where the economy is going through some issues, capital or like some of the assets can depreciate. Capital is durable. Examples of capital such as furniture, equipment can last for a long period of time. Now move on to the importance of capital. Capital helps to facilitate mass production of goods and services. It helps to improve efficiency in production. Capital helps to improve standard of living. It also helps to improve the quality of product, because when there's enough money, you're able to source for the best raw material that can be used for production. Then the capital ensures the smooth running of the business, because when there's enough money to run the business, then the business would eventually run smoothly. Then it saves time in productive activities, because with capital, you're able to look for better ways of producing without wasting too much time or like spending too much money. Then it ensures the availability of a variety of goods. So when there's enough capital, then you're able to produce different varieties of goods and services. So and that is all on capital. The next one is an entrepreneur. Who is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is a person who plans, organizes, coordinates, and manages all other factors of production. So the entrepreneur is someone who makes, it's like a controller, it's like the owner. It's the person who makes the decision on what to produce, how to produce, who to produce for, what are the things that will be used to produce. All those should I say managerial and executive decisions are made by the entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur is also responsible for the overall management of the business. Is also the one that bears the risk in case of something happens, like issue of bankruptcy or defamation or whatever. What have we, an entrepreneur is someone who bears that weight. It is the one that handles and finds a way to manage such issues. So now we move on to functions of an entrepreneur. Is the risk bearer of the business. The success or failure of the business depends on its business acumen. So whatever happens in the business is being handled, and it depends on how good and how professional an entrepreneur is. He manages the business, he coordinates other factors of production, is the one that sources for the capital of the business. So an entrepreneur is the one that would look for where to get the capital for the business. He is also in charge of taking strategic decisions for the business. He determines the price of the product/services. So an entrepreneur is the one who will decide how much the price would go for, or how much they would charge for rendering a particular service. And he also ensures that all the goals of all the subunits in an organization are harmonized. So it ensures that let's say all the different departments in an organization have their different goals. So an entrepreneur is the one that ensures that all those goals align with each other to achieve the overall business goal. Yeah. So that is all on this topic, where we took a look at the factors of production. We explained what production is. We talked about division of production, the types of production, importance of production, and also we looked into the factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. We looked at their features and their importance. And that will be all for today's lesson. Ensure you take your time to read through and source for more resources that can help you. See you next time.
I hope the class was interesting. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section or send us an email. We will love to help you further. See you in the next class.